Do you love breakdowns? Do you need stats? Do you crave insight? Download the AllStar app. UFC, Bellator, PFL 1 Championship, and more. Ad-free, fully customizable. Download the best app in the business. Link in descriptions. The next pay-per-view, UFC 281, Adesanya versus Pereira. You know, Adesanya gave a number of like how dangerous he believes Pereira is. How dangerous do you think Pereira is for Adesanya?
Well, I think he's a 10, 1 through 10. You know, if it's 1 out of 10, I think he's a 10. I think he's a 10 for everybody, you know. And you have to just mind your P's and Q's with a guy with that striking prowess, especially when you talk about wearing 4-ounce gloves, you know. And, man, when I say this dude is big, when I saw him in person versus Sean Strickland, he's a daunting, ominous figure in that cage, man. He's a big dude. This is something I was thinking about in the car coming home a few days ago, just because of what can possibly happen with Yuri and Glover. If Yuri's able to get another win versus Glover, I could see, I don't want to jump ahead, but if Pereira beats Adesanya, I wouldn't be surprised if Pereira moved up to 205 and challenged for that belt as well, due to his size and his skill set. I mean, it's something I think that this man can do. So very, very interesting fight, especially with the backstory of Pereira already beaten Adesanya twice in kickboxing.
You talk about the size. That was my next question, man, because he put up a picture standing next to Dominic Reyes, who is the 205er, and he was bigger than Dominic Reyes. I was just like, how much weight does this dude cut? Like, it has to play a factor in this fight against Adesanya, right?
Yeah, you would think, and I mean, maybe he might have a good taper, down in the last couple of weeks. But man, when he came in on fight night versus Sean, I want to say he was like 220, 225 or something. I mean, he was a big dude coming down to 85, and the next day putting on like 40 pounds. He was a monster. And I know Dom really well, and I stand next to Dom myself, and Dom is a big dude, and he made Dom look small. Yeah. So very, very interesting matchup, I think, with what we're going to see in Madison Square Garden, man. I'm excited to see this fight a lot, just because I love watching Izzy's game. I just love it's the feint game, it's the setups, it's like watching a conductor to an orchestra. It really is, man. He's just a beautiful striker to watch. So I'm excited to see kind of how he approaches it and their team approaches the game versus Pereira.
The MMA experience. You remember you just mentioned about Oliveira going for the takedown, Adesanya going for the takedown.
I mean, nothing's out of the realm. I think. Here's a guy, too, where, we got to give credit where credit's due. And as far as his takedown defense has been impeccable over the last few years. And by doing so, I think with that takedown defense, you're not just defending takedowns in the wrestling room. You're also fitting in and taking down people as well. You're just not standing there just, hey, you're defending takedowns all practice. No, you're working your offense as well. So, and I think, Frank Hickman and those guys that work with him in the wrestling department, I definitely think that he has the capability of taking him down. And I think it's an interesting wrinkle, because if you go and score that takedown and, to let you guys in, like that was our game plan, quite obviously, for Sean Strickland, was to go and wrestle, but getting him to do what you ask him to do is another story, But and Sean was doing a great job all camp of scoring particular takedowns that were asking for him. And the idea is to put that takedown in his head right away. And then the rest of the fight, when you feint level change, it has a value, has validity to it once you establish that first takedown. So that's what I think is going to be kind of interesting if Israel does decide to go that route, just to score one to make him think about it.